A short story by Paul McCann, Yhe Killer Couch. After retiring from the workforce, Jason bought himself an old cottage in a quiet rural region called Herbertown. There are only a few hundred residents who live there, and most of the residents kept to themselves. Jason was okay with this, as he was a private kind of person himself. Over the years, Jason had worked hard and made his fortune in mining. He originally had a lucky break when he discovered an opal vein right in the first section that he was mining. After taking out a loan to buy the equipment, he never looked back. Money meant nothing to him now. All he wanted was a quiet life. He left his Rolls Royce behind and bought an old truck and tractor. He wanted to look like one of the locals and dressed accordingly. On the first week, Jason had drove around town shopping for quaint things for his cottage. One late afternoon he came across an old second-hand furniture store near town. He parked the truck around the back of the store and went in for a look around. In the upstairs section of the old second-hand shop, he found a variety of used furniture items set there on display. There were cupboards, tall boys' chests, and desks, and tables. And then, hidden in a dusty corner, Jason discovered an old green velvet covered lounge. It looked like nothing he had ever seen before. There were some ornate handles and buttons fitted to the arms and strange markings on the edge of it. He was entranced by it. It looked so quaint and comfortable, and he knew it would fit neatly into the cottage. Immediately he went to speak to the owner, who had an office downstairs. Jason made his way to the office and knocked upon the door.
Why, hello there, I haven't seen you round here before. Are you new to the area?
Jason replied,
Well, you could say that.
How can I help you?
Said the owner.
There's a green velvet couch upstairs.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not for sale,
came the urgent reply.
Look, I'm willing to offer you whatever you want for it, Jason said.
The owner looked at Jason and replied,
I've already told you it's not for sale. Is there something else you might be interested in?
Have you sold it to someone else?
Jason asked, as he opened his wallet and took out a large number of notes and placed them in front of the shop owner's eyes. The owner put on a pair of spectacles and took a close look at Jason and glanced at the photo of Jason's new cottage that was in the window of his wallet there, and he then took the notes and put them back in Jason's hand.
The couch is not for sale.
He demanded Jason take a look at some other items in the store. Jason was not used to being pushed away. In life, he had always got what he wanted, and now he wanted the green velvet couch. You didn't have a sale sign on the couch, and legally, if you have it on display as a customer, I have every right to purchase it, Jason said.
Oh, listen, stranger, I don't want to cause you any grief, but the couch was put upstairs for safekeeping. It has been in my family for generations. I inherited it and cannot really part with it for sentimental reasons. I'm sure you understand.
Jason was not ready to be understanding. He wanted that couch. He took another bundle of notes from his pocket and said, Here's 3 times what I just offered you for it. I'm sure that will outweigh any sentimental value you may have. The owner was not happy at all and said,
The couch is not for sale. And I have to close the shop now, so I'll have to ask you to leave.
Jason was a stubborn man, and he continued, Look, I'm sure I can change your mind. How much would you say this business of yours is worth? No more than 200,000, am I right? What would you say if I offered you $1 million for the business and everything in it?
I'd say the business and everything else is not for sale. Now I'm closing, so if you wouldn't mind.
The owner took Jason by the arm and escorted him out of the shop. Jason walked back to the truck, talking aloud to himself.
I'm going to get that couch if it kills me.
He drove back to the cottage and went in and tried to calm down. After a bite to eat, he tried to get some sleep, but dreams of the couch haunted him. It was consuming him so much that he had to get out of bed. Like a greed he could not satisfy, he wanted the couch. He just had to get the couch, no matter what. Nothing and no one would stand in his way. He began to sweat and shake. It was as if Jason was someone else. He went for a walk outside, pacing around like a wild animal. It was still and dark, and a long way to the dawn. Over in the shed the truck sat. He reached in his pocket and heard jangle of the keys, and his mind was made up. He took the truck and drove to the second-hand store. He parked behind the store and took a rope and some tools from the truck. He made his way to the back door, talking aloud to himself. Nobody will ever suspect me, a stranger in town. After he snapped the padlock with bolt cutters, he made his way inside the store. He went upstairs to where the couch sat and tied a rope around the couch. With the other end of the couch, he made a loop harness that he put around his shoulders, and then he pulled the couch downstairs. In no time at all, the couch was in the back of his truck. Nobody had saw him. No one except the fox, blinded by the lights of the truck. The fox froze in the middle of the road, was hit and killed by Jason, who drove like a madman through the dark. Next, an owl appeared in the middle of the road. Again, Jason hit and killed the creature. Soon his cottage was in view. Jason was home now, free. He dragged the couch inside the cottage and shut the door. After capturing his breath, he placed the couch in front of the TV set, switched on the TV, and he sat down. Alone and very satisfied, he fell into the couch. He had never felt anything like it, soft and spongy. Unaware he had triggered a series of events, Jason never saw the clasps that came from the feet of the couch and wrapped around him, keeping his ankles locked. He never realized the belt that has also wrapped itself around his waist. He sat there, unaware of the unseen gas that was slowly sedating him. He grew more and more comfortable in the couch. Never before had he felt this way. The couch cradled him like a mother in her arms. It was so comfortable, and he sat there for hours, unable to move. Once or twice he felt a sharp prick of needles underneath. He tried to get up to see what he was sitting on, and then he realized the predicament that he was in. Jason struggled to break free, but the couch gripped him tightly. Days passed, and Jason was hallucinating under the effects of some toxic drugs that had been injected into his body. The couch was slowly killing Jason. Days passed, and now the TV was overheating as the electrical cord caught light. All he could do was to watch the house around him go up in flames. The fire spread quickly, and Jason was overcome with the black smoke that filled his cottage.
Everything that was flammable burnt except for the couch that remained intact. In a few moments, Jason and the entire cottage and its contents were destroyed. Everything except for the couch that still sat there where it had been placed. The second-hand dealer arrived before anyone else had collected the couch. He brushed off all the dust from the couch and said,
"Punish the sinners who take out not what is theirs."
Then he lifted the couch and put it on his car trailer and drove away. Some of the locals who had seen the smoke began to arrive to see what had happened. Some questions were being asked.
"I thought the old cottage was deserted,"
said one. Another replied,
"It was. The previous owner abandoned it. His brother owns the old second-hand furniture store in the town."
Another said, "Strange goings on. Maybe the previous owner returned and burnt the old cottage himself." Another said, "There has been some talk of a drifter nearby." They all began to clear up the mess, and not a word was spoken until it was finished. When it had all been cleared, the owner of the second-hand shop arrived, and he said,
"Oh, well, hello there, neighbours. I was just wondering if anyone here happened to see a stranger about the place lately."
Everyone shook their head.
"No, we haven't seen anybody."
The shop owner replied,
"Well, then I suppose this must have been another one of those tragic accidents that we get here from time to time."
One of the locals walked over to him and said, "Yeah, I guess so. How many times is this that the cottage has been destroyed by a fire?" The reply came back,
"Must be a dozen or more."
Another asked,
"Are you going to rebuild it again?" I have to. It's family heritage."
A few months later, a replica of the old cottage was now standing proudly in the same spot where the previous one had been, and a new owner had bought the place. She was a single retired lady from the city who wanted a quiet life in the country. After a day or two, she came across a little second-hand furniture store and went inside to check out what items were there. She walked up a staircase to the second floor and saw this green velvet couch with a sign that read, "Not for sale." She really liked the look of it and approached the owner of the store and haggled and bartered until she was blue in the face for the couch. The owner refused to sell it and said,
"This couch has been part of me and my family for generations."
She replied,
"I know my furniture all right. Let me tell you, it's a couch to die for."
The end.